two giants of football face off twice a year for one of the most anticipated matches in all of world sport, the El Clasico. Real Madrid and Barcelona share a rivalry that stretches back to before La Liga even existed. But behind the goals, standings, and players, the rivalry is much deeper than sport. Two cultures, two cities, and two stadiums, the Camp Nou and the Santiago Bernabéu. Now, both are undertaking renovations that are close to the $1 billion mark. Just like their on-field strategy, each club is taking a radically different approach to their stadium. Camp Nou is creating a three-layered stadium that maximizes light, expands walkways, and offers unmatched views out over Barcelona, capitalizing on the city's picturesque location with a Mediterranean design. 600 kilometers away, the Bernabéu is moving in the opposite direction, with a massive, eye-catching exterior. Wrapped around the stadium are 60,000 square meters of curved steel, and inside is the world's first retractable pitch that runs underground. Real Madrid wants to stay one step ahead, on the pitch, under the pitch, and in the industry, following a precedent of innovation that it established more than 80 years ago, one that Barcelona has had to work hard to keep up with. A tale of two cities. Real Madrid set the blueprint for the modern business of football in the 1940s by developing a state-of-the-art stadium. The Santiago Bernabéu quickly grew the fan base from 6,000 to 41,000, bringing in a huge new chunk of revenue. Barcelona quickly followed suit and built a new stadium of their own. Completed in 1957, the Camp de la Cort opened its doors exactly 10 years after the Bernabéu. It too was quickly renamed to Camp Nou, which is Catalan for the new ground. The next major upgrades for both stadiums didn't come until preparation for Spain hosting the 1982 World Cup. At the Bernabéu, changes to roof coverings were installed to protect more spectators, and at Camp Nou, stands were extended significantly, taking the total capacity to 121,401 people. That made it the biggest stadium in the world for any sport, not just football. This number was lowered to bring seating in line with the new building regulations just before the year 2000. Soon after, a second wave of upgrades got underway at the Bernabéu. Seating and VIP areas were constructed, and the installation of hospitality services and new commercial spaces was undertaken. This was the beginning of the Bernabéu branching out into a multidisciplinary business. It was at this time that Real Madrid began hatching the biggest upgrade in their history, one that's now more than a decade and a half in the making. But is the new round of renovations still a competition for Spanish supremacy? And why are they renovating their stadiums now? A glimpse into the future. Real Madrid's current plan is to future-proof their stadium by transforming it into an architectural icon. However, the path has been anything but smooth. Bottlenecked by zoning disputes, it wasn't until 2017 that the project was finally approved and a $600 million loan was secured. Since then, the final cost of the project has ballooned to $1.5 billion. For comparison, that's more than 4 times the cost of the entire new Inter Miami stadium. Real Madrid expect that in the long run, the upgrades will pay for themselves, bringing in an extra $217 million each year through attendance, hospitality, and parking. Growth is motivated by money in Barcelona too, where the club is aiming to restructure itself into a profitable business after years of financial freefall. A remodeled Camp Nou could earn a similar amount of additional revenue. Plans for Barcelona's rebuild have been floated for years and were first submitted way back in 2007. These were interrupted by a global financial crisis, some management fallout, and constant financial problems, meaning it wasn't given the green light until 2022. With both Real Madrid and Barcelona's plans coming to fruition, it's finally time to move from the sketchbook into the real world. So, just how far along is each project? And how did they come up with such radically distinctive designs? The philosophy of the new Bernabéu. Let's start in Madrid, where the concept began with the decision to blend in with the city that surrounds the stadium. The philosophy behind the new Santiago Bernabéu was to create a new, vibrant, and energetic design for the club, while preventing the stadium from becoming too imposing in the local neighborhood. That might sound strange because the biggest change is actually the most visible one. Wrapped around the old building is a completely unique curved facade that covers 60,000 square meters. In total, 7,500 steel slats create an asymmetrical and fluid envelope encasing the original stadium. To make this even possible, the engineering firm created this special design by using a digital model of the stadium itself. During the day, the geometrical shapes of the steel skin reflect unique patterns. At night, the design really comes to life, projecting images onto the outside of the stadium through a specially fitted LED lighting system. On top, it features a new retractable roof that opens or closes in just 15 minutes. To reduce the Bernabeu's impact on its surrounding neighborhood, the steel shell is designed to reduce the noise level coming from fans inside. And if you've ever watched a Real Madrid match, you know there's a lot of it. Construction work was supported by a brand new tunnel below the stands, which simplifies the operation of the facility without affecting traffic at the street level. However, that didn't mean that the Bernabeu's development has been straightforward. Quite the opposite, in fact. Work got underway in 2019 and was expected to be completed by 2022, but COVID pushed this timeline back more than a year. So when Real Madrid returned to play at the Bernabeu in September 2021, construction was still ongoing. As impressive as the facade is though, the feature that makes this stadium truly revolutionary is hidden underneath. A groundbreaking pitch. The new Bernabeu is fitted with a fully retractable pitch, which is the first of its kind that functions from the top down. 12 units on a rail system underneath the grass, each 15 meters wide, lock together to form a football pitch where the joints actually become seamless. Whenever the playing surface isn't needed, these panels are removable through an automatic retracting system. Each panel is lowered underneath the ground one by one, stacking on top of one another on separate trays. The state-of-the-art storage facility is called the Hypogeum and descends 35 meters underground, acting as a kind of greenhouse to maintain optimal temperatures, fully equipped with an irrigation system. When needed, the workers can actually take care of the grass by hand as well. Retractable pitches at other stadiums roll underneath and enlarge the footprint of the stadium. However, this just wasn't a practical solution for the Santiago Bernabéu, which is located on the busy street of Paseo de la Castellana, home to the financial center of the city of Madrid. That's why engineers had to come up with a new system. And as it turns out, they actually had a brilliant solution. With this new pitch, the stadium is also able to switch to different events within a single day, making it possible to host concerts and different sports all on the same weekend. The retractable pitch is a discrete feature of Real Madrid's upgraded home, but how will the actual fan experience improve? Looking up from the stands, fans will see a 360-degree scoreboard just below the roof. Curved screens wrap around the entire upper level of the structure to display highlights, information, and graphics. Up above, 10 levels above the ground and stretching 800 meters around the stadium will be the so-called skywalk. With terraced seating, bars, and cafes, one side will look into the pitch, and the other side will have great views of the city. Outside the stadium, a new shopping mall, museum, and restaurants are all being constructed. All these developments come at a hefty cost though. In 2022, the budget increased to $950 million, before a third loan in September of last year took the final price tag to $1.5 billion. Even with such a huge budget, their rivals in Barcelona have found a way to outspend them. But what could Barca possibly have planned that could top Real Madrid and make the development worth it in the end? The next generation of the Camp Nou. The philosophy behind Camp Nou's ambitious design is to integrate the stadium with the surrounding city and to take advantage of the hot climate. Unlike Santiago Bernabéu's bold, imposing exterior, Camp Nou is removing its facade altogether. Separated into 3 levels that will each offer views over Barcelona, the design draws on the Mediterranean character of the city. These 3 levels are stacked on top of one another without basically any facade at all. It's a pretty basic and completely different approach to the Bernabéu. The 3 levels are not all new though. 2 stands still used from the original build in 1957 will be preserved. Barca wants to retain as many of the stadium's historic features as possible while expanding for the future. Attached above the original stands will be a brand new 3rd stand that will ease pedestrian congestion and make all parts of the stadium more accessible. These will be steeper than the original stands, giving greater visibility to the pitch and enhancing the experience for Barca's very loyal fans. From above, the feature that stands out the most is the retractable roof. It'll be made of a strong translucent plastic. This gives it a see-through look and allows for a ring to be lit up in different colors. There's no state-of-the-art retractable pitch like in Madrid, but a new pitch has been laid for the new Camp Nou, the Grand Plan Espai Barca. In 2021, the club's members voted in favor of the new stadium design. Construction got underway in the following year, intensified during the World Cup in Qatar, and by the end of last year, development was ahead of schedule. Camp Nou will be accompanied by a Barcelona hub, a massive official club store, an even bigger museum, as well as the Campus Barca that will create new green space and parks for visitors. The flexible structure of the repayment plan offers Barcelona the chance to revitalize itself after financial mismanagement left outstanding debt payments ballooning to almost $1.5 billion, and the loss of star players, most infamously Lionel Messi. The situation is so desperate that as part of the stadium renovation, grass from the old pitch has been dug up, carbonized, and transformed into synthetic diamonds to be sold. You can literally own a piece of the pitch, but it'll cost you up to $16,000. Every dollar counts, as Barcelona has committed $1.6 billion to the Espai Barca plan in an attempt to climb out of a financial crisis and return to the top of the footballing world. Over $930 million of the budget will be directed towards Camp Nou, over 3 times the cost of the first design estimate given back in 2007. Construction is expected to be completed by 2025, marking a new era for FC Barcelona. So how does the Camp Nou stack up against the Bernabéu? A short conclusion. In Barcelona, an entire campus is being built, and the main part, the Camp Nou, is a big improvement in terms of fan experience. In Madrid, the new Santiago Bernabéu is a major step forward for stadium design. With its sleek, futuristic exterior, it ensures that Real Madrid's royal legacy is preserved. And with a fully retractable and stackable playing pitch, it's left little doubt that Real Madrid is leading the way for stadium construction as well. At least that's what we think, but what's your opinion? Which one do you like better? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to Top Luxury for more. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next video.